guys, what is going on and welcome to today's YouTube video. In today's video we are going to discuss the current state of Bitcoin. We are going to look at a potential falling wedge pattern that is currently being formed on the Bitcoin price and that can potentially have as a target the range high around $32,450. Besides Bitcoin, today I also want to have a look at Litecoin, which is looking very interesting as well. And also for Litecoin, we will be looking at a potential trade setup today. First of all, Bitcoin, because yesterday I've been looking at Bitcoin and I could see that we are forming a potential falling wedge. Now the thing is, with falling wedges, some are valid and some aren't. When a falling wedge is valid, it all depends on the volume. Why? Because the volume has to be descending while the wedge is being formed. And currently we are seeing exactly that. So at the beginning of the falling wedge, we're seeing a nice volume spike, and we can see that the spikes are going lower and lower and lower. Now that is definitely a beautiful thing, and that is also indicating to me that we are potentially looking at a falling wedge that is valid. Now this could be a potential wedge that could send the price towards a range high, towards $32,450. This is a classic potential pattern within the fourth wave before getting that fifth and final impulse to the upside, right? So I've been telling you guys over here, we were forming a fourth wave. And now the fact that we are forming this falling wedge over here is indicating to me that we are indeed in the fourth wave, because a falling wedge or a triangle or anything like that is classic movement for a fourth wave, in which we could say that we have our first wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, which takes a very long time to form, which is not unusual before getting that final impulse to the upside. And that is currently the scenario that I'm taking into account on Bitcoin. Okay, so over here, for example, we were also forming a falling wedge for the higher time frame fourth wave, and currently we are in that higher time frame fifth and final impulse to the upside, and it is looking very similar. Choppy price section turns into a falling wedge before you get that impulse upwards, okay? And that is definitely something that we are currently seeing on the Bitcoin price as well. Now, personally, I do expect that we can get one more dip towards a lower low trend line. I actually do kind of expect it to happen, especially since we couldn't break through the upper trend line over here. So if we get a move to the lower low trend line, and if we can see that we are holding on to the lower low trend line, so if we break down, that would be a big sign of weakness in my opinion. But if we see that we hold on to the lower low trend line, if we are going to sweep this Monday's low and potentially even form a bullish SMT diversion with Ethereum or whatsoever, this could be a very nice area to start looking for big swing long positions on Bitcoin. Something that is in confluence with this area as well is that close to that area is where we have this previous support and resistance area, right? Critical support and resistance extremely close to the exact same area. Okay, so that is very nice confluence. So if we are going to test the lower low trend line over here, we are also going to test this previous support and resistance area for the Bitcoin price, which is extremely important in my opinion to hold on to in order to see the range high around $32,450. Because at the end of the day, on the daily time frame, we are still trading within this range that I have been talking about for months now. Okay, so I've literally been talking about this range for months, and we are still trading in it, and the price is still range bound until proven otherwise. And until we have swept this range high, until we have distributed above this range high, I remain bullish. Why? Because we have swept and deviated below the range low, we have tested and also gained the mid-range. So technically we should be testing the range high over here, okay? Very easy, very simple way of trading Bitcoin, but very effective way, because since this deviation and we entered over here anticipating a potential reclaim, we have made insane profits by taking profits over here, reinvesting them into the market, and we did the exact same thing over here, okay? Beautiful price action on Bitcoin, and technically we should see the range high next, and that remains my objective. So now the fact that we are starting to form this falling wedge is only very nice confluence, and it is making me think about the price action that we saw over here, only on a lower time frame, okay? And I do expect this wedge to break to the upside in the upcoming days or weeks. But like I said, before we get it, I do expect one last dip for the Bitcoin price. And I do think if we do get a dip, it could be a gift to buy some more Bitcoin and to look for longs on both Bitcoin and altcoins. I think this is pretty clear. This is a pretty obvious plan. Let's see how it plays out over the upcoming days and weeks. Very curious, very interesting to see how it will develop. Now, let's move over to the even more interesting chart in my opinion, which is Litecoin. There's also Litecoin, since we put in the top over here and I literally sold the bags that I bought around 78 towards $80 over here. I sold them, not over here, I sold them a little lower. I think I sold them around $107. I can watch it back in my Discord, but everyone can confirm. And since then, we have seen a massive correction to the downside. But also Litecoin, guys, is starting to form this falling wedge pattern. Now, let's take the volume as well over here. And we can see that the volume was pretty high when we started forming this wedge over here. And you don't have to take into account these smaller candles. It's just the average volume. You can see that the average volume is going lower and lower and lower, which is beautiful. Now we are seeing a potential breakout out of this wedge. Personally, am I willing to trade this? No, I am not. And I will explain to you guys why. Because if I quickly going to remove this volume over here, and if I'm going back to the daily time frame, and if I'm going to take the fixed range volume profile for 2023, so I'm starting at the 1st of January over here, I can see that the obvious support area, so we have the point of control of the entire 2023 price action. We have this daily breaker and golden pocket. And if we are going back to the 4-hourly time frame, we can see that we are seeing a beautiful bounce exactly from the support area that I've been talking about for weeks now as well, because I started talking about this support area when we were trading over here. Now we've tested it and we've seen a decent bounce of 4.6%. What will happen now is that retail traders will see this potential breakout out of this falling wedge pattern, right? So what will they do? They will start looking for longs. Where is retail going to put their stops? Below this low. The people that have had their limit orders over here and, for example, their stop loss over here, where will they now move their stop loss towards? They will move their stop loss below the previous low, right? People that are longing this move over here will all put their stops below this low, which means there's a massive liquidity buildup somewhere below this low. Probably some people will put their stop below the daily breaker or below the bottom of the golden Fibonacci ratio. At the end of the day, I do think there's a massive liquidity pool being generated around this area over here. So something that I'm definitely taking into account over here on Litecoin is that we are seeing a potential fake out. Does it mean that I'm willing to short? No, because I'm not willing to short potential strength towards the upside, especially if we are breaking out from this massive falling wedge and bouncing from this area of support. But I'm not cutting out the fact that we could see a last dip taking that liquidity, fall below the critical support area, which will make a lot of people bearish, but instead find support once again at the lower low trend line of this falling wedge before we are going to see the proper breakout out of this falling wedge. So something I'm definitely taking into account right now on Litecoin is the fact that we could see a last dip, sweep out of the liquidity, hold this area of support over here and take the liquidity below the golden pocket, below the daily breaker and point of control, which will make a lot of people FOMO into short and sell positions. Instead, the retail traders will sell and short over here, but the market makers and the bigger players will absorb that sell pressure and build their own swing long positions, in which after that we are going to reclaim the daily breaker. If you get a retest, you enter, or you market enter on the reclaim of the daily breaker and breakout of this falling wedge, and we could see a massive potential squeeze to the upside. Okay, that is definitely the potential scenario that I'm currently watching for the Litecoin price. This could offer a beautiful trade idea, guys. Sweep it, reclaim the daily breaker, market long or long on the pullback of the daily breaker, stop below the low, target equal highs and daily fair value gap open around $115. Beautiful potential trade idea on both Bitcoin and Litecoin developing, both also in confluence with each other, because we are hoping for that last dip to the downside before getting the pump on both of them, which could make up for some very, very nice trades. If you guys do have any questions after watching today's video, as always, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also make sure to join our free Discord, link can be found in the description. Make sure to smash up the like button and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys on Monday's video. Ciao, ciao!